Welcome to lecture 4. Um, this is only 10 minutes lecture, so it's not that long lecture. As you remember, if you have seen my previous video, lecture 3, basically we have been talking about the language and how language can be a barrier for you to experience one of the greatest experiences of all time, what I call the greatest orgasm that ever had happened to a human being. Just happening to only individual, not the crowd, or not the society or civilization. This is an individual journey. When you are meditating, basically is a very lonely journey in which you move different stages. It's like going to school. You go through different stage: elementary school, middle school, high school, and then you move to college and graduate. So basically, in a school, what you're doing is that you're increasing your knowledge stage after stage. Elementary school, middle school, high school, and the college, and then you move to a higher education. So in meditation, to me, is the same thing. You move a different stage of progressive, and then you experience the wonderful experience that just only few lucky people experience. Is experience in which it can transform your life completely, and you see a different perspective in life. You're not moving with a crowd, you're not moving with civilization, you're not moving with the society. You are only individual who moves his own world. So when you transform and experience this compassionate experience, lovely experience, enlightenment experience, godlike experience, then you become humble, an individual in which feels content in his life without any reason. We become happy for some reason, something happened to our life and we feel content. But this experience, it has nothing to do with anything at all. It's just for you seek and you reach to the level in which you experience transformation yourself. It's just an individual experience. So what I want to do here basically is that I'm trying to help you basically to experience this. We are very unique people, individuals who experience. You cannot find. It's very rare to find people like me. But in any case, it has nothing to do in this egoistic system. I mean, I don't try to make myself someone who's one of people to trying to expand my ego in this video. That's not my case. I'm just trying to help you and tell you what I have experienced, and perhaps you may experience yourself. You can disprove me. So now let's begin our lecture 4, perhaps. Last time we were talking about the language. And briefly, let me go back to a review quickly about what we have talked about it. Before you start in meditation, basically you have to purify yourself. Otherwise, you're moving in a very dangerous path. Purification is very important because your mind and your body need to be purified. Purified from what? Purified from the society corruption. Society already has influenced you to have a certain behavior in which is very destructive, like alcohol or smoking or perhaps moving in a cultural dimension, cultural training, like becoming very addicted to your religion and your culture and so on. This is the ideological system in which it's just a program in your mind that you program from the beginning, the time you were born until now. All those things need to be purified, become a very pure individual, which is not contaminated by the culture, by religion, by society, mainstream. So the language actually is the key in which we learn things, because language, it created a structure. Every time language creates structure, my ideological system, whether it's a religion, whether it's a culture, and this is what I call a structure and system. So without language, you cannot create a system or a structure, because the language is a foundation of all learning. So therefore, it can corrupt you. It can create you as someone who knows something, but eventually you don't know nothing at all. The only way you can become a wise person is finding the energy within yourself, which is more important than anything else. You can become most knowledgeable person in the world and yet become ignorant to yourself. So the language is the barrier for you to experience this wonderful experience that I call God-like experience. So so the language has three things. These three things is the system, a structure, which creates the language, and then this structure has what I call the network, and this network has relationships. All the structure that is being created by the language has these three things: my structure, network, and the network has relationships. See, so therefore, all the program that you have in your brain, in your mind, is basic these three things. Just look, even look how the brain works. The brain has a system, is a structure in which it has different parts of the brain which is responsible for different things. At the same time, this structure has a network, and this network, it has relationships, because there's no way you can find any place in your brain which is responsible for memory at all. It's not. There's nothing. Basically, your brain works as structure. It has a network, and this one network has relationships. So the brain is an organ of language. The organ is language. It's like a heart. Heart is responsible, is blood supplying blood all the body. It has its own structure, it has its own relationships, and it has its own network. It's the same thing with your brain. It's an organ of the language, because that's how we create language in our brain. You don't create your language, your heart, you create in your brain. So therefore, the language, basically, it consumes your energy. It consumes your energy, which I call the consciousness. So the language is a tool that you use. It's like your hands. Okay, your hands you can use. You can pick up things. You can use anything. It's the same thing. The language, when you need to discuss certain anything has to do with the knowledge or any field that you want to discuss, you use your tools of language, your memory. If you want to discuss psychology, if you want to discuss social science, you use your tools of your mind, where you have your memory, you can discuss. So therefore, my dear friend, this language, you use your consciousness. The thoughts that you have, the network you have, your brain uses tremendously your conscious, your energy. So therefore, that's why if you cannot stop these tools, this language, it is very hard for you to experience the experience of meditation, because the language and the consciousness, it cannot be a same place. Either you're using your tools, your language, or either you're using your consciousness. So when you stop your thoughts, then you can experience your consciousness. And then when you experience consciousness, you experience your purity of energy. So I hope you understand what I'm talking about here.